Horizon Chance Homosuji reaction, and this is why didn't Italy join the Central Powers in World War One? While general history matters. Yeah, okay. For a long time, I always assumed that Italy was part of the Central Powers, like it was with the Germany and Austria. Before I realized that, what the fuck, that's not the case. Like, I don't know why I always assumed that. I knew that there was a tension between Italy and Australia. I guess that could have been one of the reasons, and how in World War II they were with Germany. So I'm like, okay, but yeah, it was really a surprise to me. Like, what the fuck? Italy is not with the Central Powers. Yeah, so I think it's probably going to be because the Italy and Austria, Italy and Austria issues, right? Because Austria did really fucked up. I remember an incident, I don't know the exact year of it, but there was something like an earthquake, and Italy was kind of fucked because of it. And Austria, like, oh, this is really fucked up. I wouldn't want anyone to go through this. Let's attack the country. That's just fucked up, man. I just think, imagine if it happens today, right? Every single country in the world just basically unite and just shun that country. Like, you're going to attack at this time? But yeah, let's go this one. Italy was allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary. What? When the First World War broke out and influenced joined the war. Okay, so there was some alliance between Italy, Germany, and Austria. Holy shit, I didn't even know that. Okay. But wait a minute. How was there an alliance? Like I said, there was an incident like that, right? Where there was an earthquake, a massive earthquake in Italy. Lots of disaster happened. And Austria just attacked Italy. They were allied during this time? That's just fucked up. Well, let's go this one. Remember, flag marks, don't forget to subscribe. So on wish to videos to tomorrow. I love History Matters. I did quite a few History Matters videos. I don't know if I put that in playlist in history. I don't even know if anyone checks out playlists, so I don't know. I don't update that frequently. But I guess just say a short animated documentary CG reaction. You'll find it, I guess, on YouTube. So yeah, let's watch it.
When the First World War began, Italy was aligned with the Central Powers as a member of the Triple Alliance. Yet, despite its alliance with both Austria-Hungary and the German Empire, Italy never joined the war on their side. In fact, in 1915, Italy joined the conflict on the side of the Entente and fought against Austria-Hungary until the end of the war 3 years later. Which raises the question, why? Why didn't Italy join the Central Powers in the First World War? So, when Italy came into existence in the latter half of the 19th century, it did so in tense circumstances. The Austrian Empire next door and its ruling family had held a great deal of sway over the peninsula for centuries, and Italy's birth had seen them defeated militarily and mostly pushed out of the region. To Italy's northwest, the once allied French wanted the same regions of North Africa as Italy. Tensions between the two sides remained high, and fearing that they couldn't win a war with France, the Italians turned to Germany and their old adversaries in Vienna for an alliance. In 1882, Italy signed a defensive pact with the two empires, leading to the birth of the Triple Alliance. The alliance saw them agree to aid the others if they were ever invaded, and both Italy and Austria agreed that they wouldn't expand further into the Balkans without compensating the other. The alliance was renewed every 10 years up until 1912, which came after Austria-Hungary had snatched Bosnia from the collapsing Ottoman Empire in 1908. Italy wasn't happy with this and so demanded compensation, preferably in the form of one Albania or
Oi! Don't take part of the Ottoman Empire. I want compensation. Ottoman Empire, like that. What the fuck? They took my shit. You want compensation? Yeah, we had a pact. Like, we can fuck anybody else, but we need to compensate each other. That's some next level shit, man. Okay, seriously, somebody should make a history video on like what type of shit could have been accepted a century ago. As far as the history goes back, but just before past century. And in current times, because pact like that, if somebody made it today, like that would be in the down low, like some blacklisted type of thing where nobody knows it, because they are not going to make some pact like that in today's world openly. People will just lose their shit.
Or these territories. Austria-Hungary said no, or more specifically, wait several years to see if we stay here. And as such, the Italian government considered the Triple Alliance to be dead. But they renewed it again 4 years later because they didn't want to burn bridges in case they ever needed the backing of Vienna or Berlin in the future. This had been Italy's foreign policy for decades at this point, since in 1902 it had signed a secret treaty with France. They agreed that the two would never go to war with the other in return for them respecting each other's spheres of influence in North Africa, which is why when the First World War broke out, Italy declared itself neutral. This wasn't to say it had closed the door to Austria-Hungary and Germany forever though. Its foreign policy in 1940
Okay, wouldn't Germany be like, what the fuck? you allied with us because you were afraid of France and what all the shit that happens. And now the world war happens. France is in the one side and we are in the other. You have a pact with us regardless of what the relations are, and France is in the other side. And you are going to say neutral. I smell something. They would think that, right? I smell something. Did you just did a secret pact with France? Apparently so.
Team was dictated by one question: who can give Italy the most? Germany offered Italy this from France if it entered the war, whereas Austria-Hungary was less keen on Italy joining the war properly, and so offered some of its own lands to Italy on the condition that it stayed neutral and gave some trade concessions, whereas the Entente offered Italy all of this, a promise that it would 100% honour after the war. Italy much preferred what Britain and France was offering, and so it signed the Treaty of London agreeing to aid the Entente.
Okay. How many overwhelming evidence are there going to be that Austria colossally fucked World War I? Right? Germany is like, dude, would you just give me a break? I'm trying to I'm trying to solve your shit and you're doing this constantly. I saw lots of World War I videos, and yeah, it's always like Austria is the one who's fucking up constantly. Austria said like, you can have some of our land if you stay neutral. Why? Why? Because Austria and Germany was just flowing with support. It's two countries against what? France, Russia, UK, USA might join. So that's like all of them, right? And Austria was mildly powerful, right? I mean, in the grand scheme of everything, Germany is the one who's doing all the heavy lifting there. And Austria, Italy don't need to join. You stay neutral and we give you land. While Germany is like, we'll give you all this France and every other land. Germany is just being like, oh, we are the smart military people here. We know what to do, and Austria just fucked that up. Germany must be like, dude, could you just stay at the same page here, right? Don't go over my head.
Which surely meant that Italian entry against the Central Powers was guaranteed, right? Well, no. Antonio Salandra was the Prime Minister of Italy in 1915, but his position was very fragile. And Italy itself was politically very divided, with most people much preferring neutrality. This wasn't out of some deep Italian love for the Central Powers, but because war sucks and you can make a lot of money trading with warring states. Anyway, Salandra was fiercely pro-Entente, whereas the last Prime Minister and Salandra's main opponent Giovanni Giolitti was pro-Central Powers. When the writing looked to be on the wall, Giolitti met with the German Chancellor to arrange what he could do if he replaced Salandra. Knowing that if he did nothing he would lose his job, Salandra did the only thing he could. He quit. He did this not because he actually wanted to quit, because he knew that Parliament wouldn't back him. And by quitting, he forced the king to choose. If the king let him resign, then the king backed the Central Powers. If the king refused to accept his resignation, then it meant that he backed the Entente. He knew that Parliament would never act against the king's wishes at such a time, and
you got to be shitting me. Did he just pull that move? But first of all, why does that matter? If the king says like, I accept your resignation, so I mean, he's the one who resigned. Doesn't mean king necessarily. I mean, king wouldn't just give out some statement or something. Like, I guess that's not how, global I guess the political thing goes. People are going to make up their mind like how it looks. So people will just be like, okay, king's with the Central Powers if he accepts the Prime Minister's resignation. But if it doesn't accept it and just tell Prime Minister to stay, he automatically, allies with, France, UK and things like that. But can't he just explain, like, would you just let me explain? I just don't want him to quit or something like that. No, I guess that's not going to work. But that is some next level shit. I've never seen somebody do this level of politics. This Prime Minister is something, man.
So when the king ordered Salandra to stay in office, his position was secure. And thus, Italy was free to join the war alongside France and Britain, which it did in May 1915. I hope you enjoyed this episode with a special thanks to my Patreon supporters, James.
If I was a king by my side, and I don't even have to, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie, king probably saw that and probably was pissed because Prime Minister put him in that position to begin with. Was there some repercussion after that? I don't know. It must have been. King would have been like, oh, you just put me on the spot there, buddy. Yeah. Why is that every history we watch is the world wars that has one of the spiciest things going on there, right? Like this is World War I video. Any World War I, World War II video, there's something there that you will not find in any other history video. But yeah. Right, well, if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.